When you die, do you vanish? Because physics has a strange rule. The universe doesn't know how to delete things. Not atoms, not energy, not even the warmth your body radiates into the air. So if nothing is erased, what does gone even mean? Now be careful. I'm not saying anything mystical. I'm saying something stricter than that, something physics can actually defend. Let's start with a candle. You light it, it burns. After a while, it's gone. But if you say it was destroyed, you've already misunderstood what happened. Where did it go? Some became light, some became heat, some became carbon dioxide and water vapor drifting into the air. Nothing vanished, it transformed. And if that's true for a candle, here's the unsettling question. If nothing disappears, what exactly are you? Because you're doing something candle-like right now. You are burning, not with flames, with chemistry. You inhale oxygen, you oxidize fuel. You release energy continuously. Your body is a controlled reaction that keeps running as long as energy keeps flowing. So you're not really a pile of atoms. You're a pattern that atoms temporarily participate in. Here's an analogy that makes this feel real. Think of a whirlpool in a river. The water changes every second. But the whirlpool looks like a stable object. It isn't. It's a pattern, maintained by flow. When the flow changes, the whirlpool collapses. The water continues downstream, but the pattern ends. That's the key idea. You are a pattern sustained by energy flow. And this is where people get confused. They say, if atoms survive, then I survive. No, those are two different statements. Your atoms can continue, while the pattern that is you dissolves. Now we can say this precisely using the second law of thermodynamics, entropy. Entropy means energy spreads out. Heat flows from hot to cold. Ink spreads in water. A shattered glass doesn't reassemble itself. Life is basically a pocket of order in a universe that trends toward disorder. But life doesn't violate physics. It pays for order by spending energy. You eat, you breathe, you burn fuel. That fuel keeps your internal pattern running against entropy. So what is death in physics language? Death is what happens when the pattern can't pay the energy cost anymore. When that happens, coordination breaks down. Gradients collapse. Chemical processes stop being regulated. And decomposition returns matter to the cycles of Earth. Carbon back to the air. Nitrogen back to the soil. Water back to circulation. Nothing disappears. It disperses. So here's a single sentence definition. Death doesn't destroy matter. It ends a self-maintaining pattern. Now zoom out, because this gets even stranger. The atoms in your body are ancient, much older than you, older than Earth. In the early universe, there was mostly hydrogen and helium. Everything heavier, carbon, oxygen, iron, was forged later inside stars. The iron in your blood, for example, comes from stellar processes that happened long before the solar system existed. You are not poetically made of star stuff. You are literally made of recycled cosmic material. And here's another twist. Most of the atoms in your body don't stay very long. Matter flows through you. You're materially fluid, yet you feel continuous. Why? Because continuity is informational, not atomic. A carbon atom in your brain has no memory of your thoughts. What made it part of you was its role in the pattern. When the pattern dissolves, the atom is just an atom again. This also explains something people find comforting and something people misunderstand. The atmosphere is a giant mixing chamber. There's a famous idea sometimes called Caesar's last breath. Statistically, because air mixes over centuries, every breath you take likely contains molecules once exhaled by countless people across history. This isn't romance, it's statistics. Matter circulates. Identity boundaries are not material boundaries. But again, don't confuse shared atoms with shared identity. Your atoms will continue, but the you that remembers, chooses, and feels, that's a pattern. So is anything you like preserved? In physics terms, the closest thing is this: information and influence. Every conversation you've ever had physically altered someone else's brain. Every idea you shared created changes that can propagate forward. Your atoms don't remember you, but the patterns you create in other systems can persist. So when you die, your atoms disperse, your energy spreads, your pattern dissolves. Nothing is annihilated. Everything transforms. The universe does not delete, it rewrites. You were never separate from the universe. You were a temporary eddy in a 14 billion year flow. Ancient matter briefly organized into awareness. Now I want to ask you something, and think carefully before answering. If your atoms were forged in ancient stars and will one day become part of something else, what do you want them to become next? A tree? Another mind? A storm? Write your answer in the comments.